Hey, this is Donald Rush with the Rush Group, and thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. The thing I want to talk to you today is about if you do want to sell your home in this market and buy another home, what does that look like? What do you have to do to make that work? So there are a couple different scenarios, and I'll try to walk you through each one and see what you think. You can make a decision. Also, of course, give me a call and we can talk through your individual situation. So one option would be just traditionally, you would go out and find a home that you liked, and you would say to the seller of that home, I'm interested in buying your home. I have a home to sell. Here's my offer. Would you give me a couple weeks to get my home sold? And then once I sell my home, then I'll buy your home. That's a sell of home contingency. In this market, I'm going to be honest with you, that's really tough because these sellers typically have multiple people interested in their property and they have really no motivation to wait for you to sell your home. They don't know what you're going to get for your home, how long it's going to take. It just adds extra liability to them. And so typically this option is no longer really an option. If there was a home that had been on the market for a few months, and you say, man, I love this house, it's just hanging out there, that's where it might become a possibility. Where, say they listed the house too high and they had to start to lower the price, or it was a home that needed some work. Maybe it's not very attractive. Maybe it's something with the interior finishes aren't done well. People aren't really just chomping at the bit to get it. Then a scenario like that, you may be able to go to them and go, hey, I want to buy your house. I'll give you a good price for it. Will you wait on me to sell my home? In that scenario, that might happen, but I will tell you, even homes that have blemishes or aren't that attractive, haven't been updated, even folks didn't even get it ready to sell. They haven't touched up the paint. They haven't even picked their dirty clothes up off the floor. They're still selling for full price. So if you're looking at your house and saying, man, I just don't want to do all this work to get top dollar, you probably don't have to. So just a caveat there. So one thing would be a sell of home contingency. You want to sell your home in order to buy their home. Another scenario would be a contingency on you finding suitable housing. In that case, we put your house up for sale. The buyers come to you. You accept an offer under the contingency of, I'm not going to sell my home to you until I find a home that I want to buy. In this scenario, you're going to the seller, you going to the seller and saying, hey, I've already sold my home. We've potentially even been through the inspection process. Everything's good. And I want to buy your home. My home closes at this date, which we would coordinate with the sale of the home you're buying. So you find a buyer that wants to buy your home. They wait for you to find a home. In that scenario, which is a little bit better than the other one, we're just hoping that the buyer is patient. And in this case, a lot of buyers are, because they don't have anything else to buy. And they're just happy to have your home under contract. And in some cases, they're renting, or they own their home, or they've sold their home, or they've got some flexibility. And if you list your home and you have multiple offers, then you could pick the offer that's most attractive, in that they have the patience or the time or the situation to wait for you to find a home. So that's another scenario, and probably a little bit better than the first scenario. A third scenario, which I've had several clients to go this route, and this is probably it's the easiest for you in the sense of finding your home, that you have the time, and it's the most inconvenient in that you have to move twice. So in this scenario, we put your house up on the market. You just take the best and highest offer. You close on your home, and then you rent. I know it's not what you really want to do, but imagine in this scenario, you sell your home, you go to a apartment, or you sign a 1-year lease with someone, and you tell them up front, hey, if I break this lease, what will you charge me? And in some scenarios, if you're willing to pay a couple months in advance, or you're willing to pay a couple months to get out of the lease, and you think, oh, that sounds like a waste of money. But when you think about it, to be able to sell your home and not have the pressure of finding another home, potentially paying a premium, not having the patience to wait for the right thing. Sometimes it's an opportunity cost that's worth it to say, if I have to pay $3,000-$4,000 to be able to find the home that fits my needs, then you could go into a rental. And I will say, if you were trying to time this, another perk to this would be that in the early spring, you typically see home prices at their highest, and you could sell your home during that time. There's not as much inventory in the early spring, and so that's why it's more competitive. The prices are typically higher. You sell your home at the peak, and then you rent. Now, prices are not necessarily going to come down so much as you'll just have more options and give you time to find the right thing that fits your needs. And then you're renting and you buy the home. If you're an apartment, sometimes you can get into a 6-month lease. And it really, in the scheme of things, it takes a lot of stress off of you. And I think it's a better solution than trying to make those other scenarios work. It causes a lot of stress. This is a little bit less stress. You do have to move twice. That's a pain. But you think about it. You pack most of the things up. You stick them in storage for a little while, and then, or a pod or whatever. And then you just have that pod delivered, or you have those boxes loaded back up on a truck. It's not like you're packing every time. You don't go into the apartment and unpack everything that you had and then pack it right back up again. So that's another scenario. Another option is to rent your current home and buy another home. And I'll talk to you about that in another video. So look for that video. Thanks for taking the time to watch this. I hope it was helpful. And you guys have a great day. Call me if you have any questions about your unique situation.